And welcome back to another devotion. I am Pastor Roy Carlin here at Woodlawn Christian Church in Lake City, Iowa. And this devotion is for Tuesday, October 21st of 2025. We are in the book of Acts, and we're actually in chapter 25 today. We're going to look at verses 13 to 22 today, to be more precise. This section in the Revised Standard Version calls Festus consults King Agrippa. Now remember, we left off Paul had appeared before Festus. Festus is the new governor. He took over for Felix. Felix and his wife Drusilla have been, sent to other pastures, I so to say, because Felix was too rough and too harsh on the people, even for the Roman standards. So Festus has come in and going to be the kinder, gentler, the new management, under kinder, gentler new management per se. So, any rate, Festus has appeared. He has heard Paul testify. He's heard the high priests and the other Jewish leaders come in and make their accusations against them. And Festus is kind of going, "What is up with this? This doesn't, doesn't involve us. Doesn't involve Rome. What do I care, basically? Don't you want to take this back to Jerusalem, guys?" And Paul says, "Nope, nope, nope. I want to be heard by Caesar." And so Festus is like, "Okay, you want to be heard by Caesar? To Caesar you shall go." So, in the meanwhile, King Agrippa is going to show up. Now, King Agrippa is the king over this whole region. It has these different governors, one of which is Festus. And Festus is in the region that has Jerusalem and Caesarea. That would be part of his governing area. But over the larger area, you have King Agrippa, along with his consort, Bernice, who actually will turn out is his sister. And that gets a little bit, what do we want to say? Inappropriate. Nonetheless, there's a lot of intermeshing here with relationships, and some of them are quite inappropriate. But nonetheless, we try to keep track and not get too mixed up with that, and try to see what we can walk away from this. But a lot of this, I will confess, is just moving the story along, and so you understand what's going on with Paul. So there's a little bit we can walk away from this with a life application lesson. But let's look at the history, shall we? So without further ado, Acts chapter 25, verses 13 to 22, and then we'll talk about it a little bit more. Now when some days had passed, Agrippa the king and Bernice arrived at Caesarea to welcome Festus. And as they stayed there many days, Festus laid Paul's case before the king, saying, "There is a man left prisoner by Felix. And when I was at Jerusalem, the chief priests and elders of the Jews gave information about him, asking for sentence against him. I answered them that it was not the custom of the Romans to give up anyone before the accused met the accusers face to face, and had opportunity to make his defense concerning the charge laid against him. When therefore they came together here, I made no delay, but on the next day took my seat on the tribunal, and ordered the man to be brought in. When the accusers stood up, they brought no charge in his case of such evils as I supposed. But they had certain points of dispute with him about their own superstition, and about one Jesus who was dead, but whom Paul asserted to be alive. Being at a loss how to investigate these questions, I asked whether he wished to go to Jerusalem and be tried there regarding them. But when Paul had appealed to be kept in custody for the decision of the emperor, I commanded him to be held until I could send him to Caesar. And Agrippa said to Festus, I should like to hear the man myself. Tomorrow, said he, you shall hear him. Okay, now, why is Festus asking King Agrippa? That's kind of interesting before we get into these relationships. That's admitting a weakness, to be honest. He's asking for advice. He's the new governor. You would think he'd want to show, I'm fit for the job. I know what I'm doing. But it seems he's kind of trying to, butter up, perhaps, King Agrippa, and showing, I'd like to learn from your wisdom, your great wisdom, and appeal myself to your wisdom and judgment. You're just kind of buttering him up, I guess, if you will. And that seems to be what they're doing here, because they do become fairly good friends, it appears. But Agrippa has shown up to welcome Festus to this new governorship and to kind of, come and see what's going on, check this guy out. We don't know if they knew one another beforehand or not. Perhaps they did. But Agrippa and Bernice have shown up. Now, this Agrippa is the grandson of Herod the Great. He is the son of Herod Agrippa. Remember him, the guy that died from the worms eating him. And remember, that would make him a brother or a half brother to Drusilla, who was married to Felix. Remember, and Felix had fallen in love with her and hired somebody to cast a spell on her so she would fall in love with him and leave her husband and marry him. And apparently, she did. We don't believe it was because of the spell, though, since we do not believe in those, not as Christians. So, at any rate, she is King Agrippa's sister, or at least half-sister. But she's also sister or half-sister to this Bernice that's with Agrippa, King Agrippa here. Because King Agrippa and Bernice are brother and sister. They are children of Herod Agrippa. So, she had been married at least 3 times to this point. She was married at 13. She was just a child bride. That kind of stuff happened back then. Still happens in parts of the world. We don't agree with it by any stretch. But she had been married 3 times, and by the time she was 21, she had already moved through 3 husbands, and she was now living with her brother, King Agrippa. Though it was believed that all 3 of those marriages were sham marriages to try to hide the incestuous affair, can't talk here, that King Agrippa the third or second, Agrippa the second, had with his sister Bernice. And those marriages were also to help Bernice to gain power. She was supposedly quite power hungry, and so she had married 3 different people trying to benefit from those marriages, and apparently had. So this is where we are at. So we've got these 2 folks. But, again, and I don't know if I mentioned it already or not, they are Jewish because they are descended from King Herod, who was Jewish. So they are Jewish. So it does make a little bit of sense that Festus, being a Gentile, not understanding what's going on with this just Jewish law, would appeal himself up to them with what knowledge they might have. Hopefully they would have a bit more knowledge about the Jewish law and why in the world is Paul here in the first place. It doesn't seem like there's anything that Paul has done that justifies any kind of a sentence, much less a death sentence, which is what it seems that the Jewish leaders want for him. Really what they want is for them to get him out in the open where they can just get rid of him. But so far, both Felix and Festus have not fallen for that one. They are keeping him under protective custody, if you will. So, what we walk away from this, besides all this tangled and twisted relationships here and this incestuous affair between these 2 folks, kind of shows us how, what do we want to say, disgusting the leadership was in those days. But they also tried to do that to consolidate power. Royalty was often often inbred, let's put it that way. So at any rate, but the one thing that we can learn from this from a positive aspect is that Festus is actually having an act of humility here. He is admitting to Agrippa, King Agrippa, we should say, that there's something he doesn't know, that he can't quite handle, and he needs his help. We can all benefit from asking someone that's wiser and more educated or knowledgeable about a particular area that we don't have the expertise in. To put away that humility, it would have been very easy for Festus to just don't want to admit that I don't know what's going on here, and I'm just trying to deal with this myself and kind of keep it. Don't tell King Agrippa about this Paul guy down there in the stockades. Just don't tell him. We'll deal with this once he and Bernice head on back home. So that's what we can learn from this. That's what we're going to take away from this for a positive lesson today. Other than that, this section, to be honest, just kind of serves to move the story along this tortured trail that Paul's got as he works his way towards going to Rome. So with that, I'm going to let you go for today. We will pick up on Thursday with the section that's called Paul Brought Before Agrippa. He's going to be brought before King Agrippa and Bernice. So we'll talk about that on Thursday. You have a blessed day. If you enjoy these devotions, please like and subscribe. But more importantly, come on back again And always, always remember to be a blessing to someone. And always, always remember, never forget, God loves you. All right, take care. We'll see you all later. Bye-bye.